Sevvvan here on MoneeeTalk, and we are back officially. And I'm collaborating with Black Label Beauty here in Charlotte. Tonight with me, I have a special guest, Charles McDonald. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, you're known by many names. I'm gonna have you definitely tell us your many names. But I just wanted to definitely get us started. If you're new to MoneeeTalk, you know we talk about the journey and not just where we're at in what we're doing right now. It's definitely about
all about
from start
the
to
journey.
finish.
Yeah,
yes.
all about the journey.
So yeah, I do want to start. Who's Charles? So your upbringing. Where are you from?
That's a funny question. I call myself like a little East Coast nomad. I've been all up and down. So I was born in Decatur, Georgia, outside Atlanta.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, still got a lot of family that lives out there. But then, like, shortly after I was born, we moved to Baltimore, Maryland. My dad works in finance, so, like, we were just up and down. He was chasing his dreams. You know, he kind of get dragged along, which is good. I mean, because you get to see a lot. But I've lived in like, as a kid, I moved from Decatur to Virginia when my dad was getting his MBA, then to Baltimore when he was working. And then we moved from Baltimore to Charlotte in, like, 2005.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a timeline.
Right. So then, like, 2005 to 2009, we were in Charlotte. And then we moved back to Baltimore after that. So I finished high school in Baltimore. And then when I went to... I was out of college by then. I guess, like, right before the pandemic, like, 2019, my mom, like, she was like, man, like, these people in Baltimore, they're not like the people in Charlotte. Like, we got a lot of friends down there. It's not as friendly. So when my sister finally finished high school around 2019, they moved back here. So at that point, like, I was already in my career. Like, I was living in DC at that point, about to move to New York. But, you know, just up and down the East Coast. Like, I lived in, like, Decatur, Baltimore, DC, New York, and now, like I told you, about to make a move out to LA. So
Cali, big Cali.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that. Like, I've been a few times. The weather is obviously perfect. Got a few friends there that I know will make the transition a little bit easier for me. But, you know, I like, for myself though, it's been funny though, because I work in sports media, sports journalism, and I tell people, you know, like, moving so much, it helped me a lot, honestly. Because you get to learn how to make friends. And even though, like, I've moved a ton, like, I met your friend Kisha through one of my best friends down here, and I've known him since 2005. So, like, you learn a lot about maintaining friendships and keeping friendships, because I've had the same friends since, like, 5th grade. Even though we've moved a ton. So it's been a lot. But I think that childhood of just up and down, it kind of prepared me for at least, like, you know, the part of the job where you're talking to people and maintaining relationships over, like, a long distance. Because that part, especially for NFL, like, it's, like, the most important stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I cover. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sheesh, I don't even know where to go back to. You know? Okay, so
Baltimore is great.
Yeah, I'm like, that's Baltimore.
Baltimore's one of the greatest cities on the planet.
I haven't been.
And look, most people will disagree with me on that. And it's funny because most people, like, when they say, "Oh, like, you're from Baltimore," like The Wire. I'm like,
yeah,
you show, like, no, not quite actually. Like, not some West Baltimore stuff. Like, although, you know, like, that's part of like what makes Baltimore such a beautiful city. Like, even, like, the impoverished parts of it. But, you know, like, we were hanging out, like, more, like, by the aquarium and, like, by the National Harbor, more stuff like that. Like, I think it's crazy. This is, like, a little offbeat, but I just watched The Wire for the first time last year as an adult.
What a coincidence!
Right? Well, because,
like, yo.
Well, I was honestly boycotting it, because every time I would tell people I was from Baltimore, like, from The Wire, I'm like, I've never seen that show, but I watched it last year, and it's incredible. But I think what's funny is, but not funny, but, like, there are people who are going on tours, like, points, like, from The Wire, right? And then when they get up to West Baltimore, they're like, "There's nothing here." I'm like, "Did you guys watch the show? That's kind of the whole point. There's nothing there. It's just chaos, and then there's no laws, and it's fucked up." But, well, I don't know if I can cuss on here.
You can absolutely cuss.
Okay. But yeah, I've been blessed to live up and down the East Coast, meet a whole lot of people. You meet a lot of people from a lot of cultures. And I think like moving to New York 7 years ago, it's crazy that it's been 7 years. I'm about to leave. Like that's like the melting pot of all melting pots. Like you can run into any kind of person that you can possibly think of. Like I've met a friend group that drug me out to Poland a few weeks ago for a wedding. So it's been a damn journey, just like from a personal standpoint. Before like you even get to the career stuff, which is like its own thing, you know.
Yeah. I can imagine New York being like one big melting pot.
Have you been before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even when I visited, it was.
It's a lot going on up there.
It's a lot, but it was definitely a cultural experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I definitely appreciate it. Like, I was basking in it. Even Cali, like, right, when you go there, you'll get overwhelmed with all of that, too, because I feel like it's about the same.
Well, it's funny because New York, like, it gets shit from people because people are like, oh, New Yorkers are so, like, self-centered on New York. And I didn't get it until I moved there. Mm-hmm. But, like, it really, I know it's not quite, but it really does kind of feel like the epicenter of, like, the world sometimes. And I think people started to get it this summer when the Knicks won the championship. Because one of my friends who's, like, a big New York hater, he called me. He was like, man, like, I'm watching, like, these videos of Knicks fans, like, getting excited, and there's like every type of person that's excited about this. So I'm like, yeah, like it kind of shows you don't have to hate someone just because they look like, because we all live in such close proximity up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love the East Coast so much, and it's as exciting as it is, like heartbreaking to move like to the other side of the country, but. Shit. Boy got laid off, so, you know, as my dad said,
gotta keep it going.
Ain't got no options but one, so you gotta keep it moving.
Gotta keep going, yeah. And it's temporary, per se.
Maybe. We'll see.
It might be.
Might be.
And you can
I hope it's not temporary, because that means I did a good job, you know?
Yeah.
My next endeavor.
But I mean, like, yeah, you can always go back whenever you're...
Oh, for sure.
It's the beauty of being an adult. So what was your upbringing like far as in your household? What were some experiences? Were you like a bad kid? Were you good?
I would say good, bad. Present good sometimes, but sometimes do bad. Like my mom says, sometimes I was sneakier than I would let on. Like I was never a great student. I was never a good student. I mean, the way I like to tell is I went to Gettysburg College, it's like an hour north of Baltimore. And I like to say I was kindly asked to leave, you know. Kindly asked to leave. Well, you know.
The school?
Yeah. I didn't go to class, really. So, you know, when you get a bunch of Fs, they're going to say you got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're not really trying.
Right, you're not really trying. And I played football in high school. I played football in college, and then I hurt my back. And the weird thing about that is, like I played football. I started playing football when I was 7 years old. I played until I was 20. So like that was kind of my identity for a while. And when you lose that, there's so much time that gets put back into your week that I had never had access to my whole life. I didn't know how to handle it, just drinking, smoking, doing all the stuff you're not supposed to do. Yeah. And you know, but like that wasn't my first experience with it. Like I started in high school for sure. Like it's funny, the first time I actually smoked weed, I was like 13. Here in Charlotte, kind of bullied a little bit by my friend's older brother, and then
like forcing you to do it.
Forcing strong, but I was curious because my dad were like, you know, touch that stuff. Like, how bad could it be?
Yeah.
Like I see my favorite musicians doing this stuff, my favorite rappers doing this stuff all the time. Like, how bad could it be? And then it was amazing, you know. Like I was like, whoa! I was like, man, this shit's changed my life. And in like I would say it was like it's been in a mixed way because like it's funny when people ask me about it now, especially like with work stuff, because like I'm open and honest about it. Like yeah, like I'll smoke and like I'll do some work like and stuff like that, and people ask me like, oh, should I start doing that? No, why would you start doing that? Like like I smoke weed because I smoke weed. Like it's not like I do it because like I need creative ideas for work. It's just kind of like have become my baseline for a while. And that's one of the areas like where my mom realized, oh, you're kind of a sneaky kid. Not necessarily a bad kid, but a sneaky kid. Like I would,
she didn't think that you would be, but you were.
Right. My dad, he caught on pretty fast though, because he was just like.
So you never smelled like weed?
Oh yeah, that's why I would get caught all the time. Okay. I would get caught all the time, you know. Okay. And it's funny though because I jokingly say that my brother and sister, who are younger than me, they set a better example than I did, because I got caught so much that after a while, my mom, she was just like, okay, like, this isn't really impeding like what you want to do in your life. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. The flunking out of college was pretty bad. I'll give them that. But like my brother and sister, like my brother graduated from Cornell. My sister graduated from Duke.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm a college dropout of the family with the big job. Yeah, so it's been funny, but I think like ultimately the upbringing it was good. I mean, like we had a very stable like 2-parent household. Like I've had the same friends like my whole life basically. It's just kind of like the decisions that you make and how they end up guiding you like on your path. Because I remember at the time like when I got kindly asked to leave Gettysburg College.
Yeah.
That was one of the situations where at the time it felt like my world was over.
Yeah.
Because like I've had a bunch of friends like where they don't finish college and they kind of don't end up doing anything, and I thought that was kind of destined for me.
Right.
But it wasn't. It ended up being like one of the best things that's ever happened to me, honestly, because I wasn't beholden to like, here's this rigid schedule that you got to go through. Here's what you got to do to get this degree. I was just out in the world, like as an adult, all of a sudden. And I was living in Baltimore. I was working at a gym. I was working at a gym for bodybuilders in Baltimore, and that's like where I actually learned. I was like, okay, like being an adult is not so bad once you get to being like actually talking to people and just being out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Networking.
Oh yeah, and that's what my job is. Like I remember when I was working at the gym, like you run into like these problems like day to day that cause like people skills to like flatten out. Like if someone comes in and there's account is messed up, like if someone comes in and says like, oh, my account's messed up, like if I yell at you, that's not going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
So we might as well just like be calm and try and figure this out. And I still credit like that year and a half that I was working at the gym to kind of like help me build the people skills I needed to like be a good journalist.
Yeah, because I was going to say like it's always the situations that we go through what helps like build our characteristics.
Yes, definitely, definitely, without doubt.
Yeah, like for sure, that would definitely like with retail for sure. When I did work in retail for a while, just encountering different races and different types of people with money, people with not money, people who want the discount, or
also like problem solving too.
Family, yeah.
Like I remember there was one time where my boss, like he was a weird guy. Like he was, I don't know if you're like in a fraternity or not a sorority or anything like that.
I don't want to say which one.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, not really. But I did go to Everest.
Okay.
Everest College, and they had a sorority there. And I was a part of that, but I just don't remember. It wasn't like we were stepping or anything.
So my boss, he was like almost 50. He was one of those like, he was a Q that just loves that shit still, So he was outside. Like, so I would end up like on my little $9 an hour salary that where I would end up like running the gym for like weeks at a time, and
because he's like
he's gone, like he's doing I'm out somewhere with my line brothers. I'm out somewhere like filming something, and then he started to get into like the music game in like Baltimore and DC, like trying to start a record label that flopped. So I was like running the gym by myself for weeks at a time. And
what is a $9 salary?
A $9 salary. I think when I said salary, I was like, that's not even what I should call it. Okay. It was just a stipend is probably more. I mean, it was a real job, but like $9 an hour, I don't know if you can call that a salary.
Okay, no, yeah, I just thought it was like code for something.
No. But it was funny because like I remember there's one time where he was just like, he left me like a pile of money, like literal cash, to like hire janitors to clean up the gym while he was gone. I was like, bro, I don't know no janitors, but I know these homeless people that like sit outside, like,
You're like, but I have a solution.
Right, but I have a solution, right? Yeah. So like, I really just went outside and I found homeless people outside. I was like, hey, like,
and you're like clean?
Yeah, I was like, I'll give you $100 a day if you can come clean the gym.
Damn, 100? That's not bad. Oh, but it's the whole gym.
Right. Budgeting skills also came into. I learned some budgeting skills here because after a week I was out of the money that he gave me. You know, because I was like, man, like I don't want to clean this shit. So, you know, you start learning budgeting skills. You start learning like people skills. And then I remember when he came back, he was like, why are all these homeless people cleaning my gym? I was like, because you didn't hire nobody, so I did, you know? And on my $9 an hour salary, as you like to call it, yeah, that was my option. But you have these things that like they kind of build character for you. They kind of help you figure out like the person that you want to be and how you want to talk to people. You know, like I would say that even just like going outside and like if you can hand like $50 to a homeless person and like I'll give you the other 50 tomorrow, like that's something that could change their month.
Even their mindset.
Their mindset. Yeah. Like the fact that someone came out and gave you money to do a job, right? And you kind of get to see like the impact that even small actions have on people, and then to take that into like the grandiose world of like covering the NFL. Yeah. It was very helpful because you learn how to talk to people, and like the players that I would meet, like they got more in common than like a homeless person than they do with like their coaches, who have come from like big backgrounds, and maybe their dads coached in the NFL for a long time. Like these are guys that come from nothing, and it was also helpful like being the only black person that was covering that stuff too, which we can get to. But yeah, I think like even the stuff that you do like in your teenage years and your 20 years, like they molded you on who you want to end up becoming, and it helps a lot. It can help or hurt you in your profession. Luckily for me, it helped a lot. Yeah.
No one realized how early it starts, even like as a baby. Like the environment, everything really is crazy. Like it really does.
No, it really is crazy. Like because I tell people all the time, like, and it's funny, like when I see conversations about like black wealth accumulation and stuff like that, you know, when you look at like the timeline, like slavery was not that long ago.
No, it wasn't.
It really was not. So, like my dad, like he's been fortunate to, he grew up Southside Chicago.
Oh,
yeah. Like I remember my mom recently. My mom's a Delta. So like recently, one of her line sisters got her invitation to go to like the Obama Institute, right, and in Chicago. And she was texting our family group chat like, oh, she was like, well, Dad, like we're like 15 minutes away from where you grew up, and he was like, turn around, you know, like stuff like that. So, but like when you see like that, you're only one generation into it, right? Which means
barely,
right? Yeah. So you could lose that easily, right? Like we're basically the only pocket in my family that has kind of like quote unquote made it. But like my family got Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, like they're poor for the most part. Yeah. And I think one of the worst things that people can do is like forget that like the way that you live sometimes is like an anomaly, you know? So when you go back and talk to your family, like you have to take those lessons and just take them out into the real world. Because most people that you talk to, like they're probably going to be struggling. They're probably going to be like just getting money for the first time in their family, especially for me. Like most of my friends are black. And I think that has been like really helpful because I know like when I was working in New York at a newspaper, I was covering the Giants and the Jets, both the football teams up there. Like I was one of the only people that could actually like talk to the players, you know, because we got the same backgrounds, you know, like, oh, so, you're the first person in your family to get some money. Like, I kind of know what that feels like, but it's not like you alienate people. It's like all trying to figure this stuff out together. And it's a lot, but I will say, I remember, well, we can get to it in a second, but I remember when I was getting up into, I was working in New York and I was covering the Giants. And, one of my first days out there, I'm talking to the players and like we dapped up when I was done, and one of the white reporters came up to me and was like, what was that you guys did with your hands right there? I was like, what? He's like, this is your first day here, but you guys got a handshake already? I'm like, what? You mean like dap? He was like, yeah, like what was that? I was like, oh man. He's like, where did you learn how to do that? It's like, I don't know. I was like, couldn't pinpoint it for you.
Yeah.
But like those cultural moments, like they matter a lot for all of us. And it doesn't really matter like, well, that's not true. It doesn't matter how much money you have, but I think in a sense like that connects us. Like, man, like we're all black. You know, you got to stay true to that at some point.
Yeah, definitely. And again, where you're at, the environment, everything plays a part in it. That was just an appropriate moment. No telling what was going through his head, and he probably just needed that ammunition to.
Well, they get
you, you know.
Yeah, and like the white people I used to work with, like they're not all bad, but they get used to what they get used to.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, and realistically, in a group, we all know if you get a group of, just like anything else, you get a group of black people, you know that group of black people is going to act regardless of whatever. It's all going to be different than when you're with a group of white people or when you're with a group of Mexicans.
It's
or with a
so
group
different. It's so different.
It's different.
Well, because I know that like, well, it's funny with black people, like we can have our disagreements, but I know at like with 99.9% of black people that you meet, like we're aligned, like we should exist, you know? Like fundamentally we should exist. I don't know if I could talk to a white person that they're going to have that fundamental agreement with me. So like you know, that's why I tell people like when it comes down to like even not dumb stuff, but like more serious stuff like politics, it's like, man, like I'll take a black person I don't agree with more likely than a white person I do agree with, because I know like at some point you and I, like we are out for like the same thing, which is like survival. But you don't always know that with people who are not like the same race as you, which is unfortunate, but hopefully you can get a little better. And I think that like even that, just knowing that is something that has helped me a lot in my career. Like talking to black coaches, talking to a majority black player base, it's different. It's different.
For sure.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't have to be how people will pick at it and make it feel or sound like it's a bad thing. No, it's not a bad thing. It's just an obvious thing to notice your environment and what changes. And it's good to be aware of that because, of course, you don't want to be acting any certain, like, you know, It's good to just know where you're at and act accordingly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, one of my favorite stories to tell is when I was, like, just to get into my career a little bit, when I was working at the gym, I was like, so I played football in college. I started off as an English major. So I was like, shit, like I know two things, writing and football. Let me see if I can just stick them together. And I started off as a freelancer for this website called SB Nation, which I ended up working at full time. And then I ended up getting an offer from the New York Daily News in 2019 to go move up to New York right before the pandemic started. And I remember the first day that I was in the Giants locker room, because like when you're a beat reporter, you're like in the locker room, you're talking to all the players every single day. And I was the only black person there that was there for both teams. So I covered the Giants and the Jets. I would like alternate days. I was the only black person that was there like on a daily basis, like every day. Like, there were other black people there. My girl, Jean Coakley, if you listen to this, if you see this, did not forget you. But for the most part, like I was the only person there. And I remember my guy, Lorenzo Carter, who ended up playing for my favorite team, the Falcons, eventually. You know, I'm walking around the locker room. I'm just like amazed, like that I'm here, and I just hear in the corner of my ear, "Yo, is that a nigga over there?" You know? And I turn around, and Lorenzo, like the other linebackers on the team, they're like, you know, they dab me up like, "Man, we ain't seen a black person here in about like 80 years," you know, and that like kind of like hit me. I was like, damn, because like this is New York City, you know? Like when you go to Giants practice, you can see Manhattan from across the water.
Yeah.
You know, there's 8 million people that live there. And you're telling me that I'm the only black person that's qualified enough to come up in here and be a reporter? I know that that's not true. So like for them to like verbalize to me about like how much it meant to them just to have like a black person to talk to about this stuff. And also at the time, like about the same age, because, you know, I was like 25, they were like in their early 20s too. So like we're listening to the same music, we're thinking about the same girls, like we're like on the same shoes, same cars. So like we have a lot in common.
Yeah. And
that was when I realized like, oh man, like I kind of, it's an unfortunate leg up that I have. Like there should be more black people here covering this, especially in a league that is over 70% black. But I had to use that to my advantage. And I got to like break news like real fast because I would just text these guys like, hey, like, what are you thinking about your contract? And they would hit me back real quick. And it kind of became like a tension point with some reporters in the beat because they were just like, how are you getting this stuff so fast? I'm like, it's this right here, man. Like, it's just being cool and just being normal about it. But I think it was kind of fascinating to see like how many other reporters would get like jealous about it. I'm like, man, like I didn't do anything but just show up here. Like you could have been doing this stuff. You could have been trying to connect these players, but they see a black person and like we're joking about like they're joking about like how I got the munchies. So I was asking about like food that they were ordering and stuff like that. And like shit, that's how me and my friends roast each other too, you know?
Yeah.
So it was like honestly like really powerful to kind of see just like how, you know, small interactions like that can end up like becoming like a thing that kind of helps build your career, you know?
Yeah, no, seriously. People don't realize it until it's actually happening. I'm saying people that's outside of black is excellence.
It is. I'm not a believer. All black is excellence.
Yes. And, you know, it just, when the time is right and it's right, it definitely is powerful. So that is good. You were able to use that. And definitely, if anybody else is in that position of color, I'm just saying, you better fucking take advantage of that because the only black, like, you know, that's powerful in that sentence by itself. So yeah, you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
Yeah, I tell like my younger kids, crazy younger kids that I help with their careers every once in a while. I mean, use it to your advantage. Like it's unfortunate. Like I think it's ultimately a bad thing that you're the only black person in there. But while you're there, you might as well use it to your advantage because like it's not like you yourself are gonna be able to change the system. Like
too, but everyone else uses it to their advantage.
Right, exactly. It's like those other reporters, like when they talk to the head coach, like they're using that connection.
And it's to their advantage. Exactly.
I think the most unfortunate thing is that like sadly, like especially in the NFL, like I can't speak to everything, but in the NFL, like our relationships, it feels like they can have a short shelf life because they're mostly players, right? And players don't last as long as coaches. They don't last as long as like high up executive and especially not owners, right? But one thing I tell like kids younger than me is like, okay, like you might have had a 2 to 3 year relationship with this player while you're covering them, but don't forget about them when they're gone. Because you never know, like I see players that are getting into media stuff now, you never know like where that connection could be helpful. So ultimately, like it's a lot more people that you kind of have to quote unquote churn through. Like, even that doesn't feel good to say, but like that's what the NFL business is. But you still have to like treat those relationships as if they are one-off relationships. So that's why I was talking earlier when we were on the other thing where I was like, I don't like text messages or I don't like phone calls like in my past, but they've grown to be very useful for me, you know, because I can call someone for 5 minutes and check in. Now we've talked, right?
Yeah.
And you can bank that for a while. But you have to like check in with your people. You have to make that shit matter, or else like these relationships that you're building at work, like they mean nothing. And that's ultimately that's the situation you should never want to find yourself in.
Yeah. Being useless.
Right? And look, there's a lot of black people who are out here doing that useless shit. You don't want to be one of them.
Right. That's the thing. You don't want to be one of them. Although we know that there is some. What's something you had to unlearn to be a better you?
Oh, procrastination. That's the biggest one for sure. Like when I was in high school, college, I was the biggest procrastinator ever. Just horrible at it. And I'll say for me, like it ended up just kind of being like, bro, you gonna get off your ass or what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because while I'm sitting there like working at the gym, I just flunked out of college. Sorry, kindly asked to leave college. You know, there's just like there's a moment where you're sitting there and just like, ultimately we worked in a society where like, you gotta get up your own ass and do it. I don't think that's the best all the time, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that like any black person who's in my situation or their own situation can kind of relate to. It is what it is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like just getting up off your ass and doing it. Like when I was working at the gym, man, my shift started at like 3:30 in the morning because I had to be there.
I like grief.
Yeah. Just to get there, open up the gym, and then, you know, I have to have like an hour before people actually get there. And I will use it to work on writing or to study like some football stuff. Yeah, it's very funny because people like they they see how I interact online, or they see like how I am in person. They're like, oh, you're a goofy guy. I'm like, yeah, but like when it comes to work, like no, you gotta put your work in, like to make this shit work. And I learned that the hard way, because I was out of college. I was working, my salaried $9 per hour job. And there's some days like where it feels hopeless, kind of. It doesn't feel like you can make it. But then all of a sudden, like if you keep pushing at it and you keep doing things that you can do, like just stack like little goals per day. Like, okay, like I know I got to get up at a certain time or else I'm gonna get fired. Right? That's something I have to do. But in the meantime, what are things that I could do, like to make it more palatable for myself in the future? Like I know I didn't want to work at that gym forever. Who does? Nobody. But I knew like if I got there early and I turned on all the machines and I turn on the music, then I could have like an hour to myself where I could work on stuff that I wanted to do. And even if that was at 4:00 in the morning, then that was at 4:00 in the morning. And my shift would be over at noon and I would go home and I would sleep.
Yeah. I think that drive is the most important part to help you in any business or anything you're trying to grow, like water. That's the sauce right there. That's your water.
Yeah.
Pushing even when you don't feel like it, or making that time, because I did the same thing when I did retail. I had a business, like my dessert business, and I would be selling to my customers, and I know that they liked my service. They would listen to my spiel. So I'll be like, yeah, you should follow me on my Instagram.
What kind of desserts?
It was like dipped strawberries.
Ooh,
okay. Yeah. Okay. So I did. I'm like still a personal treat consultant. That's what okay. So, it was, that's how I literally grew that business. It just got overbearing because once it grew and you're a one band, like doing everything a lot, it becomes overwhelming. Yep. And then the love for it becomes like a job and you're just like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because when I got laid off earlier this summer, there's this website called Substack. I'm the same way. Like there's a website called Substack, or like where you can, build a blog, and I'm just like, man, like I need someone to tell me that I gotta do something. Honestly, like, and I know that about myself. Like, I'm not gonna be the person that like can run like a self-sustained blog or a website like, by myself. Like, I will be like the go-getter in terms of like getting to the good job. But I've learned for myself, like, I'm not ready to like run my own thing yet, So like even that, it can feel overwhelming. Like when people tell me, oh, you should start a blog. I'm like, I'm not gonna start a blog, man. Like I'll beg on my hands and knees to my dad and his buddies, like, can I get a job somewhere else here, please? Like I think it's something that you have to know about yourself. But like being that self-starter, it can be difficult sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So talking about that, take us back to the beginning of your career. What did that grind look like? I mean,
it was funny. It was funny.
I mean, it definitely sounds crazy. But yeah, what was that?
Oh, I haven't even got to the crazy stuff yet. Okay. Not at all. Because, man, I don't even know where to start. I started the gym. Like as I said before, I was working at a gym, managing a gym in Baltimore. It doesn't exist anymore. It used to be called IFTC, and then somebody else bought it, so it's not really in the same capacity that it was before. But I went from there. I was working at this website called SB Nation full time, and then I was working at the New York Daily News, which is it was a big newspaper in New York City.
Yeah, because I'm like, how'd you get that job?
Sports editor just emailed me. He was like, I like your work. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty nice with the pen, man. Like when it came to writing down like breakdowns for NFL stuff and like doing reporting, like I would write stuff that would go viral pretty much every time I would write it. And like I remember one time I wrote an article about like the Arizona Cardinals' new head coach, and they ended up sharing that article. So I'm not gonna lie, like people told me I got to stop, I guess subverting myself to a degree. I was pretty nice with it when I first started it. And, I got the Daily News sports editor, he hit me up and he was like, would you be interested in, interviewing for a job here? I did, and I got it like a week after the interview. So that's how media can be interesting. Like where, you know, a lot of times when you see the jobs that have been posted, they've already got someone in mind, especially for the big spots. But I'll tell you right now, if you go Google Charles McDonald Washington Post, there's an interview about why my time there ended. It wasn't my fault. But basically, we had 3 people there, right? There was a Giants reporter, a Jets reporter, and I would fill in with both. And I would do like my own national NFL coverage. And basically, the Jets reporter, for a ton of reasons, got banned from coming back to the team. You know, including like, you know, stalking like the 8-year-old child of the general manager of the team.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You know, harassing like women reporters like who were on the beat. Like he eventually got booted off there. So I was like kind of working. It was weird. Like I was working for him almost. Like he would call. So I got the credential to go back to the Jets, and I still have a great relationship with them to this day. But I got the credential to go back to the Jets, and like they were kind of like feeding me stuff to ask for this guy who had been suspended from the Jets. And you know, after a while, I like this is where I go back to like you got to lean on your people, kind of, because you know this is mostly like you know white people, non-black people in general who were asking me to do this stuff, and there's this big like kind of like coalition of like black NFL writers that kind of like peer out to see like what's going on out there. So, you know, I hit my big homie Therese Paler, rest in peace, about like, hey, like they got me doing all this stuff. Like, is this normal? And I remember I can still hear it like in my head when I think about it. Like, I remember he was like frying up dinner that night. He was like in tears, like laughing on the phone. He was like, bro, like none of this is normal. Like you shouldn't be going to practice, like recording stuff for another reporter for him to report on as if he was there. Because basically the Daily News, they're trying to hide that he had been banned from practice. And, you know, what ended up getting me out of it is like basically 4 of like the heaviest hitters in like black NFL writing, they wrote a letter to the Daily News and said, hey, like we're looking out for Charles on this stuff and you've got to stop. And that ended up getting so messy to the point where I just, one day, like I remember I accepted a new job at USA Today, and I'm in my exit meeting with the Daily News, and you know the HR lady Tori, she was, you know, she's black, she's older, and she asked me, she was like what can we get you to stay? Like, you know, we don't like we don't have like young like black reporters who are out here like actually doing like good work normally. It's like, what can we do to get you to stay? I'm like, Tori, like you don't know what happened? Like they subbed me in and all this stuff, and she was like, no. So I just tweeted like all the evidence I had on my Twitter account. It's like 50,000 followers.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just like, you know, here's like all the receipts that I have. I quit. I'm out to a new job. Goodbye. And I got interviewed by the Washington Post about it. And they did a bigger expose on the guy that I was supposed to be working for. And they found like all this stuff in his past and stuff like that. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I ended up moving to USA Today for a little bit after that, which was cool for a little bit. I didn't like it too much there. And then I would say where things like really started to kick off for me is for those of you who are gambling, and you should stop. I started working for a website called Underdog Fantasy.
I've heard that.
Right. And I had a podcast there called The Exempt List. And, you know, this is like 7 years into my career. So I'm trying to figure out like, man, how am I going to like get people to listen to a podcast in an already very saturated sports market? So what my plan was, I had 25 people in the first episode. Right? So we had 25 like 5-minute interviews that were just rolling in and rolling out. And they were all like, you know, ESPNers, people who work for ESPN, like NFL players who I met at the time, like retired NFL players. And that ended up kind of becoming like something that really put me on the map, that first episode. And that was like March 2022, April 2022. And I worked at Underdog for like 4 months. and I got an offer from Yahoo Sports, where I just got laid off from earlier this summer. So that was like fall 2022. I got an offer from Yahoo Sports, and basically Underdog, they were like, you just got here, like, you really have an offer for somewhere else? Like, they kind of like, you're bluffing a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not bluffing. I'm gone. Because they basically offered to double my salary to move on to a new job. So ultimately, like, it's not I would say it's not really great to like start somewhere and start a project that was as popular as the Exemplist, because like that podcast I started, it hit top 5 on Apple Sports day one. It was like a top 100 sports podcast the entire summer without a single football game being played. And then when I went to Yahoo, I kind of had to relinquish it for a year in exchange for money, which that's like when we were talking about financial freedom versus success earlier.
Right.
That's the one that I come back to, because I did sacrifice like my own personal success for the financial freedom of moving to Yahoo. But then, I worked at Yahoo for 4 years, started another podcast, Football 301, that hit top 10 on Apple Sports day one.
Yeah.
So, I tell people, I'm one of the only people in a 2-year span, because they started 2 podcasts that hit top 10 in a 2-year span, 2 different podcasts. And then they laid me off from that podcast very unexpectedly earlier this year. And now I'm starting a new endeavor that, I don't know, I don't think I can say where I'm going yet. You'll see me, though. If you listen to sports podcasts, you'll see me a lot for sure. But, it was very interesting, like, going through that this summer where, like, at this point, like, I've had success. Like, I've started all these podcasts. Like, I've had interviews that have gone viral. I've done interviews at the Super Bowl, stuff like that have done well. And then you can kind of see, like, that doesn't always matter.
Right.
Which can be tough to grapple with. But ultimately, like, if you put in the work, like, I wasn't out of work for too long. If you put in the work and people know you do good work, and people know you're a solid person, you can find some stuff. As difficult as that was to deal with, but the career has been it's been a lot. Like the last 10 years, I would say, like since I really started, like I can't believe it's been 10 years. Like that's I started getting like really serious about this. You can kind of see like, okay, like I've done a lot of great work, and sometimes that doesn't matter, but somebody will usually give you the opportunity to do something else. Yeah,
especially like you said, if you're a good solid person, it'll definitely be there.
Yeah, and it wasn't my fault. Like because I remember when I was, because I built a big enough name for myself. Like when I got laid off, when we were talking about it earlier, like there were articles about me getting laid off. Yeah, about me and my coworkers getting laid off. And what I like to joke about is, I got laid off, but the title says prominent NFL reporter, prominent. So I wasn't some kind of, I didn't mess up or anything. And when I got to these interviews, like kind of the embarrassing part was, people are like, okay, so like, what did you do? Like, did you do something? Because it doesn't make sense that like you're a free agent for us to hire right now. But I wouldn't say a water under the bridge, but also that ends well. Yeah.
Well, it definitely sounds like a lot, but I do, because I feel like it all ties into the Four Verts. Tell us about your Twitter name.
Okay, so if you play football, or if you watch football, if you play Madden. Mm-hmm. There's a play called Four Verts where you have 4 receivers and they're all just running vertical routes down the field. It's like one of the classic plays, like if we're trying to get a bunch of yards and score a touchdown on one play. And basically, it's really not too complicated.
So people are calling you that, like
in person, yeah.
Yeah,
they call me Verts or Mr. Verts. I'm like, easy. My name is Charles. You can just call me Charles. Yeah. But it's funny though, because one of my friends, I had another Twitter name that I don't even remember what it was called before that. That it was not great. It was kind of mid. It wasn't helping me out a lot. And then I have a friend who would like make Twitter accounts, and he would sit on them and he would sell them to people, right? Like, oh, like I got this Twitter account handle. Like, if you want it, I'll sell it to you. And he had like 4 verts, and he was like, man, like, your Twitter handle at the time, it's so bad. Like, I'll give this to you for free. So he gave me the 4 verts handle. And it kind of became something that I don't know if I like all the time, because people call me that. Like, they call me Verts in real life. Like, no, I didn't play quarterback. I didn't play wide receiver. I was a lineman, So I never ran around. I never caught a pass in a game. But it just kind of became something that I used to shed, like my old thing, and then it just took off. So, yeah.
It's funny. People are funny.
Yeah, they are. And, like my boy Colin, yeah, he hit me up. He was like, "Yo, I sell Twitter handles." Like, you do? And he was like, "I'll give you one for free." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? But it ended up being like a huge point for my career because it's an easy thing to remember. Like, especially if you like football, Four Verts. If you played football, any football video games.
Oh yeah, and it's like, I can.
Right, right. But don't call me that in person. Call me Charles.
Call him Charles or Mr. McDonald.
No, that's my dad.
Okay. Okay. At least we know. What's one thing that can consistently ruin your mood, no matter if it's a good day? If this particular thing happens, you're losing your shit.
Ooh, man, losing my shit. I've never really been that kind of person.
Okay, that's good.
No, I've like it. It takes a lot. Like I for good and for bad, I've got a high tolerance for bullshit, honestly, and because like I know when people are bullshitting me, but most of the time it's not the most offensive thing in the world, so I'll let it run. But I will say, like, straight up lying, I'll be like, man, or just like, or okay, one thing that will ruin my day for sure, like if we have like for days in advance, and we have like a schedule and we set up, and like you're running like hella late. I'm like, bro, like we worked on this like a long time ago. And if it's day of and like we just make some plans real quick, okay, cool. But I think when people are like really like inconsiderate of time, that's one thing that will set me off a little bit. But that's really like the only thing. Yeah. You know, outside of that, like that's why I get along with people for the most part. Because I'm like, look, I know people be on some bullshit sometimes. I'll be on some bullshit sometimes. So you got to make room for that. I think it's only fair because I would like it when I'm on some bullshit for people to be understanding of that for me.
Yeah.
So I think you have to make time for that in your own life too.
Right, I like that.
It's not. It can be frustrating, but it's real. You know, it's real.
Absolutely.
And nobody's perfect. And I think one of the worst things that people do is hold other people to the expectation that they're supposed to be perfect when they're not perfect in their own personal lives.
Yeah.
You know, so shit. People make faults. They make mistakes. But like, if we plan something for a while and like you're like then disrespecting my time, then I'll get a little tizzy, a little upset. But other than that, I'm a pretty easygoing guy. Yeah.
You say a little tizzy, I'm like, that means he's flipping shit around.
No, this is,
I'm just
that hasn't happened since like a football game, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I haven't done in like 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. What's something people assume about you that they are completely wrong about?
That I don't work hard. Yeah, that's the one thing.
It's pretty Aggie.
I will say that would get very, very Aggie. Yes. Well, because people just like, because one thing in my career was like when I first started, I was trying to do like the buttoned up like reporter thing, and I was like, man, like this isn't me though. Like I don't like this, and I'm not good at it. And like when I started being myself, which is like now I like to tell jokes, I like make people laugh. I like to have fun all the time. I think when people started flipping that into like, oh, like you don't work hard, like no, it's a very separate play versus work thing. Like when I'm working, I'm working. I try to focus as hard as I can on working, so I'm not spending a lot of time on working, and I can get back to doing things that I enjoy. But like when I'm cracking jokes like on the internet, or stuff like that, and people are like, oh, like you're dumb, like you don't work hard, I'm like that's not true at all. I'm just having fun with you right now.
Yeah. You've worked across different types of sports, like different environments. What environment do you feel like you learned from the most?
Oh, for sure, working for the newspaper, the Daily News, because most people, like when you start working like in sports reporting, you usually start like, man, I have friends who work like in NFL coverage now. Their first job was like, oh, I'm going out to like Idaho to cover college football or cover high school football. I'm like, man, that sounds goddamn terrible, bro. No. you would like, I wouldn't be sitting here if that was my path. Like if someone said your first job had to be going to like Idaho or like Montana.
Okay, so when your first job, they're paying you to go out there?
Yeah, so my first job like actually covering games was for the Daily News in New York, which is very unusual. Like the first football game that I covered like on site was a Week 6 game between the Giants and the Vikings in 2019. I still remember this like very vividly, and you know that was like being thrown into that environment in the middle of the season. I just moved to New York. I was mostly like off like online doing like blogger stuff. That was a trip because all of a sudden like you go like what happens is like it goes from like when you watch like people on TV, you watch celebrities on TV, it feels like they're an other kind of like you don't have a connection to them, and all of a sudden like I'm talking to Eli Manning, you know, someone I've watched like my whole life, and I'm having like a face to face like real like one-on-one like relationship with him. And I still see him now like out at events and we still chat. It kind of humanizes them to a degree that you didn't have before. I'm like, man, like you used to just be like a little avatar in my Madden game, you know, or you used to be someone that was way off into the distance. And then you learn like, no, he's just a regular dude like you or me, you know? And that's how some of them are not. But a lot of them, like you get to learn like, man, like the way that I was thinking about you like as a human was wrong, you know, because you got the same fear. Like I've talked to like a bunch of like older players and like it's like talking to my dad. They're like, man, I hope my son does the right stuff. I hope my daughter does the right stuff. You know, I hope, you know, that I'm able to sustain this stuff for my family for a long time. Like, man, like that's real. It's real. But when you watch them on TV, they kind of become like otherized. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I learned. Just these are humans just like us.
Just like us.
Yeah.
And sometimes I guess it's hard to think about that when you know for sure they got more money or no, you know.
Oh yeah, like, I was about the brokest person in there every single day, you know. But it doesn't change. But what was cool, like it doesn't change like how they talk to you. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, like I remember when you know, when I first started at the Daily News, like that was when Saquon Barkley was early in his career with the Giants, and he's, you know, Super Bowl champion with the Eagles now. And even when it was funny though, because when I saw him, I was in the locker room after the Eagles won the Super Bowl 2 years ago in New Orleans, or last year in New Orleans. And even then, like, you know, still remembers like seeing me and stuff like that. So like, I'm like, okay, like you're just like a guy, you know. And I think one of the funniest things was, I had a really good friend in college whose friend played at Penn State, and like they would come visit us every once in a while. And then that guy who ended up playing at Penn State ended up playing for the Giants. So like I saw him in there, and I'm like, wait. You're just, I already know you. Like, you're just a guy, like me. So, like, being able to just realize, like, no, like, these are all humans with their own fears, even though they do the gladiator sport was really helpful.
Yeah. And that definitely, I'm sure that helped you along that.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you're
like,
not so nervous. You're not so uptight and everything. You're just like, oh, I can do this. This is just like.
And also, like, the truth for a lot of them is, like, it's not generational money, you know?
Yeah.
Like, for most players, like, you get a couple $100,000, but like, okay, you still gotta go to work when you finish this, and you gotta find something else to do. And I think that was very grounding too, to learn that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's very humbling.
Yes.
Right, even on both ends, because they can see they've been there, done that, and then you can see, like, hey, they're just a normal person.
Precisely.
We're definitely talked a little bit about you stepping into your new chapter, moving to LA. So what's next? Like, you moved to LA, then what are we doing?
I'm trying to figure out how much I can say. It's a new show.
Okay.
I think you guys will, like, if you listen to sports, you'll recognize the platform.
Okay.
I would love to tell you guys right now because I've already signed, but like they haven't announced it themselves. You know,
so we can wait.
You can wait.
You can wait. Pick it.
But I promise you, if you give me what's today's date, the 14th.
14th.
In like 2 weeks, you guys will see. There'll be a big announcement, a big press release, and
Okay, we definitely can't wait. What's something in life you're still chasing?
My own show without like a corporate backing behind it. Like if I can get to a spot where I could just fund my own show, that's what I'm still chasing. Because you know, I used to be like, man, like I would love to be like a media executive, and I met media executives. So like I'm just not. I'm not one of y'all. I'm not one of y'all. I'm just not.
It definitely sounds like a lot.
Yeah, well, it's a lot, and also just like the mind. I would say, especially today, like the mindset that it takes to get that far I just don't.
Do they sleep? No.
Oh, hell yeah, they do. Because they're offloading all the work to somebody else. People like me. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the part, like, as I got to learn more of them, I was like, you guys don't actually do anything, you know? And I don't want that to be my thing. Like, I very much value, like, being able to work and, like, be in the work to a point where I still have a relationship with people who are trying to make it, you know? Because I think one of the things that's happened to executives, like, in a lot of spheres, not just media, is, like, the higher you get, you become so detached from the day-to-day work that you don't know how it works anymore. And that's one thing I don't want happening to myself. So I would say, like, the biggest thing that I want for myself still moving forward is just, like, the financial freedom to be able to host my own show without that being, like, a worry for me. Like, am I losing money on this? Because ultimately the answer is going to be yes.
Right.
But, you know, you got to get to a point where you can eat it. You know, I'm not quite there yet.
It's good to have that balance. And it's good to be self-aware and just aware in general about it, because that's where it starts. Sometimes you'll keep going if you don't realize you're doing, because everything is like a pattern. So you'll just keep doing it even if you don't know, or just like you brush your teeth every morning, or you don't, or if you don't every other day, you really brush your teeth every other day. It's a pattern.
Definitely.
You just it's pattern. So it's definitely, you got to make your own pattern and stick to it and be consistent. So I like that. And I definitely think that's true, how people do, the higher you get, you do get detached.
You do less work.
Because you do probably, for the most part, you've started at that level of working. So you were like, oh yeah, I don't mind taking that break, or oh, I don't mind. And then you just, you
start offloading it to people to the point where you don't recognize, like, what you do every day.
Every day. Okay, my last question. What would you tell the next person that's stuck on their journey and don't really know what they want to do?
Yeah, that's a really tough question, because I think that things have changed so much from when I got started. Like, I talked to my friend Bomani Jones about this. He's worked for ESPN, and now he has his own podcast. It's very successful. And the answer is, like, I don't know all the time, because when I started, like, you could just make a Twitter account, right? And if you did good work, like, people would notice you. I mean, shoot, like, I'm a black guy. I don't think it's always fair, but, like, Twitter was one of the few arenas that felt fair, you know, because it was really just about the merit of the work. And then eventually you could kind of get a little bit higher. Now, I would say call someone like me so that you can get connected to the right points. Because look, now it's more than ever. It's like about a connections game, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to figure out who you know. And I think that that's unfortunate, because there's a lot of good people, a lot of good, like, younger black people, and it's just about trying to put them on. So my advice would be try to find someone like me, and we'll try to put you on. That's willing to help put you on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, because gatekeeping's dumb. Because, like, my job's secure, you know? Y'all coming to take my job, but if we can, like, put you in the face of someone else who might be hiring you and can open up a job for you, I think that's one of the worst things that media professionals do. Assume that every young person is coming to take their job. Man, like, you signed a contract, bro. Like, I signed a contract recently. Just because, like, you know, some young hotshots coming up, that's still someone you should want to help out. Because I know that, like, when I was coming up, like, a lot of older journalists helped me out, and, you know, they used to joke, like, okay, like, when you make it big, you got to hire us, you know? And, like, shoot, I'm saying the same thing. When you make it big, like, you better have a job waiting for me there, because it's all an ecosystem, and we all work together. And ultimately, like, shit, we all we got.
We all we got. And I definitely believe in the ecosystem and agree to the ecosystem. Because we are our own ecosystem, and we have to feed it so it can dish back out. But yes, thank you so much, Charles,
for
having me for coming to Money Talk and having a chat with me, and a drink a little bit.
Yeah. Cheers.
It's definitely appreciated. And yes, you guys stay tuned, stay inspired, stay locked in, and watch for more.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout out, like, anything?
Yeah, follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at Four Verts, and also just subscribe to The Athletic.